Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family, HEEARTS family, Patreon family, everybody out there.
Everybody out there, hello, hello, hello.
Hello, boys and girls, it's your Uncle Rama.
There he is. He's so cute.
If you couldn't hear that, he was just snortling the microphone. Want to thank everybody for your support on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. Again, exclusives over there 2 or 3 times a week, typically. And this one we're putting up on Heart's Home. And we wanted to just zero in and touch base on something which maybe a lot of people didn't really give any thought to. The difference between religion and spirituality. This statement is attributed to Deepak Chopra, of course. I think a lot of other people have said the same thing, in many different ways. Religion is believing in somebody else's experience. Spirituality is having your own experience. I don't think you could really put it any more simply than that. I think that kind of says it all. Spirituality is very different from religion. Now, what are we trying to do when we are religious in nature? Exactly. What are we trying to do when we're living a spiritual life? And I think that's kind of the key. A spiritual life or conforming to a religion, because again, a religion is something that has a set of expectations, rules, regulations, belief structure. It's true in that religion really does tell you what you're going to believe, where spirituality in so many ways is the path to discovering what you will believe, and that might change over time.
I think that's important to take note of, the changing of it all. And, religion has its place. I can really only speak to my experience. And I think the mistake I made with it is to be apologetic for some of the things that I wanted to know more in, for wanting to know more about tarot cards, wanting to know more about astrology, wanting to know more about talking to the dead, all the things that you're not supposed to do, in a religious setting. It's like I was drawn towards those things, and I allowed myself to feel like I was less than over that. And I didn't like that. If I had to do it over again, I would probably just be a lot less apologetic and just go and bring my crystals and bring my tarot cards to church and, be me. And I think I should have done that in a lot of my life circumstances, is just be who I was and understand that it's in my very DNA to be a bridge between the 3D world and the other worlds, all the other worlds. And that's just what I do. And that's what I have always been. I guess I tried to follow certain rules because that was in me too. And it didn't work when I was trying to go through religion. But once I was able to step into a spiritual nature and I realized my own experiences, that really helped me on my journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Religion, so to speak, is a matrix. What's a matrix? I remember before the movie The Matrix came out, nobody knew what nobody said matrix. Mm-mm. The movie The Matrix truly transformed so many people's vocabularies into understanding the concept of a matrix. A matrix is something that has or creates form or structure. So, again, this world has been about creating matrices for us, in which we will get used to life inside the structure instead of poking our head out, and looking outside of the structure. As Cindy said, religion is a good starting point. And there are some things in some religions that you may take and hold on to your dying breath. That stuff that, really, really resonates, but not necessarily all. And that's the key. See, what do religions typically, again, is something that might not apply to all. Because, not one size fits all with religion, for sure, and not one size fits all with souls. And I do think if we are growing and really evolving, then you're not going to hold on to the same set of beliefs indefinitely, perhaps unless you are already an ascended master that has retained a lot of the knowledge of your past experiences. It's all about the journey. Everything is always about the journey. So here's another one. Religion has faith in blindfolds and tells you what to see. Spirituality removes the blindfold and teaches you how to see. It absolutely, I could see that. Absolutely, I could see that. Again, a lot of times we're told, well, it's just simply a matter of faith. You have to have faith. But if something doesn't resonate and it doesn't seem logical to you, why should you have faith in it? Because it's somebody else's concept. Why, again, are we believing the concepts of others instead of discovering what resonates with us in the first place?
Mm-hmm. And we need to go on our own journey. We need to have our own experiences. We need to know and understand more about our body, because a lot of things that we are taught in the Bible and a lot of the Bible stories, it's actually technology, and our bodies are very unique and they're very, very different. They're very, very multidimensional. And when I look at it, looking back, I kind of think religion is to really keep people from realizing themselves. So it's to keep people from trying to, awaken their kundalini and awaken their pineal gland. They don't want that, because that's when you can start seeing past the mass media stories. That's when you can start seeing past so much of what we're told growing up that's not true. It's that energy that we awaken within inside of our bodies that tells us, hey, no, this is not true. Something's wrong with this. I don't think I should go with that flock of sheep. And they don't really want that. So I think they make it very narrow-minded. They make a very narrow-minded type of path to follow. And also the victimhood, making people feel like that they've been bad somehow, that somehow they are flawed. They're a flawed species, when in all reality, we are absolutely perfect and amazing in every single way. And we are born to want to do good. We are born to want to help. And it's in the upbringing. And a lot of times, I hate to say it, but in these religions, people get really abused and they think poorly of themselves. And it's like this self-defeating type of energy that people deal with, on a daily or weekly basis, that I don't think it should really be out there. I think, it should be, spirituality should be open for everyone and not shut down so quickly.
No, absolutely. Now, I don't know whether Napoleon really said this or not, as there are so many fake memes out there, but, this statement's attributed to him. Religion is excellent stuff for keeping common people quiet. Religion is what keeps the poor from murdering the rich. It can be used as a tool of mind control. Absolutely. We've seen that time and time again. The richest private organization in the world that could solve really the poverty of the entire planet, if it truly acted like the being that it says it's trying to emulate, could do so right away. Again, the Vatican hoards wealth. They don't listen to Yeshua's words, of if that really is Yeshua's words, but I could see, and this is why sometimes I'll quote stuff, because there is stuff in there that I do think it sounds and feels like what the real Yeshua would say. Again, if you want to go the full mile when we're talking to the rich man's son, sell all your belongings, give it all to the poor, and let's go with nothing but what you have on your back. Yeah, the Vatican's not doing that. The Pope's not doing that. None of the power structure's doing that, because they don't believe in what teachings Yeshua gave, even though they profess to believe in those teachings. And again, how do we know what Yeshua really said? We're just really going by what we feel the historical Yeshua would say, or what Cindy has gotten in channeling. Again, everything that you see that's attributed to Yeshua is written well after he was on the earth. That's the bottom line. So, again, religion is conformity. bottom line is religion is conformity. It is one size fits all, which doesn't work. Not for an evolving, growing spiritual person. Now, spirituality made to measure. In other words, you don't fit in whatever suit is on sale. You just, you buy into whatever the religion is, and you have to conform, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it doesn't fit you, doesn't resonate with you. And this is what happens in a dark age. In a dark age, you have to conform. Otherwise, you may be killed. Many people have been killed in religious wars and religious persecution. Again, the Inquisition killed countless people. And so many people were killed in the name of God. Religion has been a tool to use to divide humanity. Where spirituality is very, very different. And yet spirituality itself will never give us the entire picture on consciousness while we're embodied. Because you can't. This is a very limited existence. We get glimpses of the bigger us when we are in a meditative state. It's only glimpses for most people. Consciousness is never experienced in the plural, only in the singular. Isn't that interesting? Have you ever thought about that? The total number of minds in the universe is one. In fact, consciousness is a singularity, phasing with all human beings. This is Erwin Schrödinger, 1933 Nobel Prize in Physics. Quantum physics was his thing, and he's famous for his Schrödinger's cat theorem. And again, just showing how we live in a quantum field. It's actually a consciousness field. And everything that is manifested is just a temporary manifestation due to the consciousness itself. So here you have religion in a bottle. Spirituality is outside of the bottle of religion, but still, you cannot contain consciousness. And so this is also in the Bhagavata Purana. The Bhagavata Purana talks about the fact that our material universe is of a certain stuff. Prakriti is a term that's used to talk of everything that has an elemental nature which arises from the Akash, or the ether. And yet, there are other realms of entirely different substance and operating in different manners. And so when we talk about like Vishnu, if we are looking at Vishnu as the actual computer programmer, so to speak, of this particular natural matrix, the reality for Vishnu is that he is of a substance that is not of the substance of this stuff. And so it's thought that Vishnu will take an avatar and come in and incarnate in a small human form in order sometimes to correct the program. And so he has to take on a body made of the stuff of the elements which come from the ether. But his reality ultimately is from something even more subtle. And again, this goes for all of us because we are having this temporary physical experience. Rama as a Doberman Pinscher, a 3-year-old male Doberman Pinscher. And yet Rama, we know, has had incarnations as a dragon. And we also know that the consciousness that's in Rama is only a smaller portion of his entire consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's our boy. He's a sweetie, and he knows he belongs to this family. And we allow ourselves to have these understandings and these ideas based on what we have experienced. I think that's really the key. It goes a lot with your experience. What have you personally experienced? And are you believing something because you heard it from someone? Or are you believing something because you have done your due diligence and you've gone within, you've done the meditations, you've done the things to get in touch with your internal self, and you come to these realizations for you? So to me, that's the big difference with this whole thing that we have going on between religion and spirituality and consciousness.
I view it in so many ways, like as I'm losing my voice doing this one.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. I don't know. It's like I think this type of information sometimes it can be dangerous. People get very, very angry. They get very defensive. But we go through it anyway because we believe that people should be free and they should have an understanding and have that freedom of expression.
So, as I'm thinking this, I'm thinking we'll put this up on EEARTS, but ask everybody that's interested really only in this. You want to just go more down this path and you don't want to see the news. Come and subscribe over at HEEARTS so we could get HEEARTS up to the number of people that EEARTS has, and hopefully get EEARTS eventually up to the people that Evolutionary has, which again, they have stalled out on purpose because religion is perhaps their number one tool. I'm not sure if it's religion or if it's the monetary system, but those are your number one and number two tools that they use in this world. And then we have the medical system, and there's other things, below that. But understanding that in the Bronze Age, in the Silver Age, and the Gold Age, as we go deeper into the ages, you won't really find religion, but you are going to find way more spiritual people.
You're going to find people who understand, and they understand the body. They know what the body can do. They know what our electrical currents in our body can do. With practices of yoga, Kundalini yoga, meditation, mantras, your body changes. You literally change. I mean, you're a whole different being to the point where you can create a world where you magnetically you can pull in your reality through these certain practices, and that's just common knowledge in these other ages. But in this age, it's still a little bit dark.
Yeah, again, I like that religion, you're taking something at somebody else's word. Spirituality, you're having your own firsthand experience. Night and day. Spirituality is fluid. It's not a matrix in and of itself. Although there are so many different practices that we can do when we're embodied, to bring about that connection, that union. Yoga means union again. Union with source, with the oneness of God. Again, religion will teach gods out there. You can't know the way of God. Spirituality, the different ways of looking at things, teach that the ultimate teacher is within. So you must be still and listen and go within. And religion, again, will say you have to practice these sets of rules. You have to believe this dogma. You have to follow this path that looks like this. Where again, with spirituality, your path may one day be doing tarot cards. The next day it may be something totally different. It's fluid. It's not conformity. It's not one size fits all. It's individuality. And being free to change and flow with even your belief set. Being spiritual just means you're in touch with the own inner divine self. Yes, spirituality is all about connecting to the higher self and pulling the higher self down into the embodied state.
Mm-hmm. And these are your processes that I'm talking about. And this is where spiritual coaching does come in handy when you are really hungry and you're starting to wake up and you're starting to have these experiences. It's not easy just to go out and find a psychologist to talk about these things because it's not taught in any school. In fact, it's taught that, if you have certain experiences, you probably need a doctor. And that's very concerning to me because a lot of people are, in fact, very, very gifted, but very, very traumatized, and they simply don't know how to control their energy. So it's about learning how to control those energies inside of you so that you can do what you want to do with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, there's no fear involved with a spiritual life. It's not that there's any sort of threats, and you're not afraid of moving on into a disembodied state because, again, this is just a temporary experience that we are having. So, you're not necessarily believing in any sort of judgment. You certainly don't believe in any sort of original sin. You don't believe in any of these doctrines. You throw it all away and discard it because you come to realize that it is all a method and means of control. It's, there's different modern terms for it, from narcissistic abuse to gaslighting. We understand that, again, the spiritual path is a unique path to each individual. I think, again, the best way to view it is one size never fits all when you're truly living a spiritual life, and it's fluid. It's ever-changing. There are certain things that you may do that you may always do because they just simply resonate. Whether that's like a practice of leaving a plate out for past family members that moved on and the elemental beings, the devas, the angels, because again, like that practice in and of itself does have benefit. When we leave out things like apples and other fruit, typically as an offering to the beings that are not in this density, what the devas do with it, those beings we call the devas, beings like Lakshmi and Ganesh, for instance, they take that energy, the prana, the life force, and then they amplify it and they send it back to us. This is something we learned through our own spiritual path. We didn't read it anywhere. We got this directly from them, and you can too, again, if you learn how to just simply still your mind and listen.
Mm-hmm. It takes some time and it takes some practice, but it's definitely worth it.
Absolutely. So I hope this helps with anybody that had questions about spirituality versus religion. Simply put, religion is kind of in a box. It's in a matrix. It has a form. It has set rules and procedures, whereas spirituality is fluid. It's not in the box, so to speak. And it can change with the individual as the individual changes.
Indeed.
As always, guys, look forward to your comments. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.